Brad, do you want me to wait for Jessica or Emily, or do you want to start in terms of an update from CityNet?
I'm gonna defer to them for the specifics. I mean, nothing's significantly changed. You're right. We did take over the master lease. We continue to sort of operate out of the, the Rose Garden Inn. We obviously, we've mostly staffed it. The only gaps we have in our staffing plan currently is overnights. So we continue to backfill that with staff that we have to sort of use to, but we are full. I know there are a couple transitions here and there, but as a general statement, we've sort of are fully maximizing that space to its capacity. Emily or Jessica can give you more details, but
yeah.
Emily,
so I hope I'm showing up.
We can hear you.
You're there.
I'm here. So we just finished our Site 5 for the fire and danger encampment cleanup. And what was really great about Site 5 is that it did address some of the encampments that were teetering over into the Montecito UPR area. Okay. And so we were really excited that we were able to provide shelter to those individuals who we were already serving with case management over there. Right now we have 5 sites cleared. We have 51 clients and 34 rooms. We had a few exits last week just due to behavior, and unfortunately that had to happen, but the site control is much better. We set up a community area for smoking, and now our clients are all interacting with each other, and it's creating kind of a more social bond and community within the Rose Garden, and we're really happy to see that progress with our clients. So we're at 51 clients and 34 rooms, which is at our capacity for right now. We were also able to bring in Miss Barbara McBride, who was the woman sleeping outside of Farmer's Boy. She was the new, it was on everyone's radar, next door, council members, every agency. So that was a huge win. She came in yesterday. She's doing great. She loves staying with us. She's actually 2 documents away from being document ready. And we have 16 people who are also 1 document away from becoming document ready. And so by next week, we are expecting everyone to be, of those 16 people, to be marked document ready, which is huge. They then can be in the running for emergency housing vouchers. We have 1 client who unfortunately is in a shared room, but he found a housing opportunity, and so we're working towards housing on him. And then we have our favorite success story. One of our clients is just doing an amazing job with the landscaping around the area. He cleaned up the entire backside area of the Rose Garden, did all the landscaping, brought us his 80-year-old mother to meet, and just was so proud of all of his work. And so I hope he gets housed soon, because he's just rocking it at our place. So those are all our updates, and yeah, it's been a positive upswing. So
great. For those of our residents that are watching the recording of this meeting, we just wanted to reiterate that CityNet is the primary provider, really helping provide the case management, wraparound services, as well as the temporary shelter for individuals that are being displaced from the clearing of encampments. Emily and Brad and Jessica, your team continues to just do incredible work. And I would say, just in terms of Rose Garden Inn, passing by it frequently, it's just really secure, contained. You have folks out front. You can see that just in terms of having kind of control over that property, looking at guests, greeting guests as they come in and out. It just feels like a really good, friendly environment. So thank you for all of your work at that site, as well as around the site. So yeah. I did hear from Lieutenant Kushner about Barbara, and I know a lot of neighbors had been reaching out through Nextdoor and other means, and for you to be able to address that concern and be able to house her temporarily is incredible too. So Brad, were you going to say something else?
No, I was just going to sort of tee that up. We are kind of monitoring the area. We are responding sort of, as needed, but we are definitely paying attention to the immediate geographical footprint and sort of doing our best to sort of, again, most of those clients that are out there are not tied to our program. I know there's people make that connection and make that assumption, but that is not the case. But nonetheless, we are committed to sort of a good neighbor impact policy. So we are patrolling that, and our teams are going in and out of there all the time, and we will continue to monitor that. So as situations emerge, like the one we're discussing, we will do whatever we can to respond accordingly.
And just to piggyback on what Brad had said, we have 2 logistics coordinators walking at school times. So they're walking from Jack in the Box all the way down to Jelson's, helping provide outreach to that region so that it's safe for kids when they're going to schools, because we heard that was a big concern about the community. So
Okay, great. And I do want to emphasize that we are seeing movement of individuals that are currently unhoused, and that is part of more enforcement. That is also just different opportunities, different regions providing a variety of services. So the day center that's up in that close to 154 has reopened and provides a safe shelter and haven during the day for laundry and outreach and meals. So again, just pointing out that there is movement. We are seeing movement among our regional action plan teams, and again, continuing to address concerns as they arise. And so next week, we'll be reconvening our regional action plans. We'll have the East Side meeting this week, but State, Street, and Waterfront will resume next week when Jeff Schaefer returns, having done site visits last week and reporting out that data in terms of what he observed doing the site visits last week. I will turn, Lorraine, to you just to address the city report, since Renee hasn't been able to join, but Emily provided an update just in terms of the number of sites and that you had just worked on site number 5. Anything else to add from the city's perspective?
Yes, so we were in communication with Emily this morning on if we can move forward with the Milpas ramp area. That is the remaining location we have on our list. There are no beds available, but we're going to be in communication with Caltrans to talk about if we could just provide outreach and services and still go forward and clean up there. So I think Chris is making that call this morning. And then the other update is, I think many of you know, we are going to council on the 14th with this item. So we'll be giving an update on the 120 days. Great.
And that has been scheduled for when they return. So September 14th, when we have information about where that is on the agenda, we'll share that with those who've been participating in this regional action plan, as well as those with our Act on Homelessness Collaborative in the city of Santa Barbara. There is a question from Sharon just about emergency housing vouchers and the tight housing market and rental market. And this has definitely been an active part of our dialogue as the collaboration through our working group meetings and our regional action plan meetings. The emergency housing voucher program, I know in terms of securing appropriate supportive services for those individuals, that just happened last week. Good Samaritan Shelter was selected to be that lead, and she is in the process of hiring up to build the specialized team that will be supporting individuals who are placed through the emergency housing voucher program. And so she shared in detail who will encompass the team, and it will include 2 mental health therapists, a drug and alcohol counselor, 7 case managers. So that's a case manager ratio of 1 to 30 clients, a housing navigator, and a medical coordinator. So because of conversations that have happened over the past several years and in much more detail over the past several months about the needs we're seeing among our unhoused neighbors, there is capacity to be able to have a team providing a variety of services to folks who are placed in those housing units, but housing continues to remain the biggest obstacle. So we now have students coming in. If they can find anything, they are definitely the customer base for the rent that's a little bit less, and that's more in the lane of the clients that we're serving, and you are all really trying to address their individualized housing plans. And we know that there's going to be a lot of impact when the eviction moratorium is lifted at the end of September, beginning of October. And so there is a little bit of, I'm calling it a buffer between then and the following March, just about legal actions that can take place on behalf of landlords and property owners, as well as that eviction itself is a lengthy and costly process. But Emily, do you want to share anything that you've seen just in terms of the housing shortage and the ability for clients to be able to access the emergency housing vouchers and be able to find those housing placements?
Sure. Yeah, so the emergency housing voucher process is a lengthy process. It requires us to get clients not only document ready, but there's a pre-application that has to get done. And then there's two separate appointments with either the City of Housing Authority or the County Housing Authority. We've been doing really great in terms of getting people who are on that list connected to emergency housing vouchers. I wasn't prepared to provide a number, but I can provide that in the chat as soon as I find that number. But we do have several CityNet clients who've been connected to emergency housing vouchers. The city and county are different in that the city requires, I may have this background, but one requires you to have a housing opportunity before the voucher is granted. The other one grants the voucher and then you go and find the unit. So depending on whether the client was a city or a county client, it's a different process. For everyone in the Rose Garden and everyone pertaining to this, call it as a city emergency housing voucher. We're having to get creative. So because there's a housing shortage, we have a housing navigator and a housing supervisor, and they're contacting landlords and getting shared housing situations set up where all three clients are moving in with vouchers together. And that's kind of how we are working around the lack of housing and the lack of units, as well as the increase of rental requests. So.
I appreciate those details, Emily, and I know that you and your team are working tirelessly to pursue the emergency housing vouchers for your clients. We are seeing that across a number of agencies, and the last update we received from the City Housing Authority was that they had received, I believe, 92 applications for the 89 vouchers that they have. So it is a vetting process, and so having more applications than vouchers is very typical. And I know that they're hoping to have those vouchers leased up by the end of this year. And I believe at end of November is what they had mentioned. Sharon, does that answer your question? I know it's the details that we have right now, but I just want to make sure if we're able to answer or provide more detail that we can do that this morning or follow up with you directly offline.
No, that's fine. Thank you. I just been seeing the stories and like, we're in that same mix, and how's this all going to work?
Absolutely. Any questions for our city and provider partners this morning? All right, anything from the CityNet team, just in terms of on the horizon, any support resources you need, volunteers, in-kind contributions, donations that you need that you can share this morning, or
We're
copacetic?
I would say that it's on the CityNet website, citynet.org. We are always looking for amazing people to join our organization. So if there's anybody out there that has college graduates or people who are looking to get into this space, we are hiring in Santa Barbara. And as we mentioned earlier, we're looking for specifically some overnight staff, but we're always looking to fill out our ranks.
Great.
So that can all be found on citynet.org. Sometimes personal recommendations end up working out the best. So if anybody knows anybody, send them our way.
Great.
And if anybody would like to donate, we are having a need for new shirts, all sizes from small to extra, extra large, and socks. We've been buying Hanes the last few months, but it's getting to be expensive and the clients, just are in a need for clothing. So if anybody wants to donate any new packages of underwear, socks, or t-shirts, please let us know.
Okay, and who should receive that communication if they have a donation? Is that you, Jessica, or someone else on your team?
They can go through our website
Okay.
and contact our communications team, and we'll make arrangements to meet with them to accept that donation.
Awesome. All right, we will definitely get that word out. And Kayla, maybe we can share that too across our network with the neighborhood navigation centers as well.
Thanks.
All right, thank you all so much. I appreciate you being here every other Wednesday, and we're looking forward to the detail update on September 14th. We'll have one more encampment response meeting prior to that time, so we'll provide more details about how to be there and participate in public comment in support of the 120-day pilot program. And I know conversations are ongoing about the longer term solutions. And so we will be having more of those strategic conversations in the coming weeks. And again, all hands on deck to try to make sure that we're placing as many people as possible in a more permanent housing solution. So thank you all so much for joining us today. And we will see you again soon. I hope you have a good rest of the week.
See you later.